Most e-commerce brands are still wasting money on backlink strategies that worked 5 years ago, but actually hurt their rankings today. They're buying low-quality links, prioritizing quantity over quality, or using tactics that Google now actively penalizes. The reality is that backlink building for e-commerce has completely changed, especially when you're scaling internationally across multiple markets. And the brands that adapt are the ones that are actually dominating search results. After years of building authority for e-commerce brands across different countries and markets, I've learned exactly which backlink strategies actually move the needle and which ones are a complete waste of money. And in this video, I'm going to show you the high-quality backlink approaches that work for e-commerce stores in 2026, including how to build authority across multiple international markets. Let's talk about why most e-commerce backlink strategies fail. The biggest trap I see is the low-quality volume game that's being played. Brands focus entirely on getting as much backlinks as possible without caring where they came from. They buy idle cheap link packages, submit to hundreds of directories, or they hire agencies that promise 1,000 backlinks in a month. But here's what actually happens. In December 2022, Google deployed SpamBrain AI specifically to detect and neutralize manipulative backlinks at scale across all languages. And this isn't some kind of theory, because one large retailer that is a client of ours lost 37% of their organic traffic after Google identified over 800 spammy domains pointing to their website. That's 37% gone. And that's only because they played the volume game. If you take that mistake and you multiply it internationally, so you're expanding to Germany, France, the Netherlands, Japan, or wherever, if you're using that same low-quality tactic in each market, you're not actually building authority, because you're building a house of cards that Google is eventually going to blow down. And each market then becomes a liability instead of an asset. The fundamental problem here is that most brands still think that backlinks is a numbers game. It's not. Backlinks in 2026 is a strategic authority game. Here is the truth that changes everything. Google confirmed in May 2025 that backlinks are still amongst the top 3 factors influencing rankings. That means it's still top 3, but what's actually changed is Google's tolerance for shortcuts, because that right now is basically 0. Paid links without proper disclosure, mass guest posts, link farms, and all of those tactics are high-risk strategies that either get ignored or get actively penalized. In the meanwhile, high-quality links from authoritative, relevant sources still move the needle dramatically. Let's be honest, I'd rather have 5 backlinks from respected industry publications than 500 links from some random blogs that nobody reads. And so would Google. You should think of it this way. A backlink is a vote of confidence, and would you rather have 10 votes from experts in your field or 1,000 votes from people who have no idea what you actually do? The experts carry weight while the crowd is just noise. For international e-commerce, this becomes even more critical, because you would need local authority in each market, and a bunch of non-relevant English language links won't necessarily help you rank in Germany, because you need German sites, German publishers, German authority figures vouching for you. That's how you actually build trust with Google's local algorithms. By the way, if you want our team to help you build high-quality backlinks that actually improve your e-commerce rankings across multiple markets, check the first link in the description below. We've helped dozens of e-commerce brands dominate international search results, and we'd love to show you how we can do the same for your store. What I'll basically do right now is I'm going to exactly show you how each of these steps work in our framework. Now we get into the part that most brands skip, and it's the reason why they waste months on outreach that never converts. We start first by studying who's already winning in the market, and then we reverse engineer their backlink profiles, because international SEO is not a global game. It's a bunch of local games that are happening at the same time. If you're, for example, trying to win in Germany or in the United Kingdom or in France, you don't guess what authority looks like there. You map it. By the way, this also isn't some kind of secret agency tactic. No, it's important to analyze your competitor backlinks to shape your own strategy. And the process that you can follow is pretty simple. In this presentation, I'm going to walk you through all the steps right now. Here is the process. Step number 1 is identifying the top competitors per market. And that means not globally, no, per market. The second step you would take after this is then extracting their backlink profiles with tools like Ahrefs or SEMrush. Step number 3 is filtering these domains by local proximity. So for Germany, we're going to look at .de domains. For the UK, we're going to look at .co.uk domains. And for France, we're going to do .fr domains, and so on. And you do this because local domains matter, because they're one of the clearest signals that real websites in that country actually trust you. The fourth step is to qualify those links by 3 things: authority, traffic, and relevance. The last step that you basically take to top this all off is you build a most wanted list that are usually 50 to to 100 prospects per market. And that's basically the funnel. It sounds simple, but a lot goes in and only the legit opportunities should come out. An important thing I would like to emphasize is that there is a key philosophy that you should take into account, and that is quality beats quantity every time. So filter ruthlessly for domain authority, traffic, and local relevance. And ruthlessly is really the most important word here, because as I already mentioned in the video, the whole goal should not be to collect backlinks in mass volume. No, the goal is to collect proof of trust. Right now, a thing that you can do as an exercise is write down your top 3 competitors in your main market, or go to Ahrefs and then find these 3 competitors, and then you're going to analyze their backlinks next. The next thing we should then look at is criteria, because there's still a lot of talk about DR, DA as a starting filter, but it is a filter at the end of the day, and it should not be your entire brain, because some high DR sites are basically link farms in disguise, and they look authoritative on paper, but they have no real readers, or they have manipulated link profiles. It looks good on paper, but it's a pretty shitty domain. The quality checklist for this is quite simple. So we want decent authority, so that would be a DR40 website as a baseline, depending on the market. We want real organic traffic, ideally about 5,000 visits a month or more. We want topical relevance to the niche, and we want to look at some editorial standards. So it should look like a real publication, not a pay us and we'll post anything. And we obviously also want to have local language and local audience visible on this website. If we take this checklist into account, we avoid the obvious junk. So that means zero traffic, spammy content, extreme PBN vibes, or anything that screams SEO manipulation footprint. Also, if you do this, it's important because you're protecting your site from toxic links that might drag you down later on, especially when you're expanding in multiple countries, because if you do this for 5 countries, then if it goes wrong times 5. Let me make this clear with a good example. And let's say we are targeting Germany. When we're analyzing German competitors, we usually see a pattern. So the strongest links mostly come from .de sources, which are local news sites, industry blogs that get traffic. And with traffic, I mean 20K plus a month. You have local influencer mentions that are relevant in the category. And what we do is we take that reality and we're going to build our own target list. And in a typical German market push, we might end up with about 40 to 60 highly qualified German prospects, not like 600 random links that are .de. No, 60 targets that are actually worth our time, because local authority creates local rankings. And if Germany is your market, .de trust matters a lot. Another thing that I would like to emphasize is a real myth buster, because I know what some people are thinking. No, I need 1,000 backlinks. My competitors have 2,500 referring domains and I have 1,000, so I need 1,000 more. There is some kind of truth in that in some sense, but mostly if you just focus on quality, so one link from, for example, a top German news site can beat 100 links from random blogs. That is basically the whole game in 2026. Map the winners, filter for real quality, build a focus list, and then start your outreach, because it becomes efficient, it becomes safe, and it becomes scalable across all the countries you're basically targeting. I hope this information is really valuable, but obviously what I'm going to help you with is I'm going to live with a video show you how you can actually do this. And in this video, I am using our spreadsheet that we use to make this filtering and building your target list a lot easier. And obviously I will attach this spreadsheet in the presentation as well. So if you look down in the presentation, you can see download our backlink prospecting spreadsheet, and then you can also use the Loom explainer video that will follow right now. All right, guys, so this is a recording of how you should structure your prospecting list. So on the left side on the screen, I have 2 German examples, which are 2 German websites in the home niche, and I also have 2 Dutch examples that are also in the home decor niche. On the right side, you can see the spreadsheet we are utilizing to gather your target list. Let's, for example, start with westwing.de, which is a German website, and we'll go to referring domains. And then if we are in referring domains, we are going to filter, for example, the country out. So I would like to find German links, and I will click show results. And I will do the same here. So let's see this website. It is about 826 referring domains that are German. So I'm going to click referring domains, and then I'm going to utilize language, and I'm going to choose German. That leaves me about 1,300 links, and about here is about 2,000 German links. So could also be .coms with German context. This happens when you choose German, but you can obviously also filter out only on the TLD. But for this matter, I am going to choose German. German. Let's see what we can find. A great new function in Ahrefs is that you can filter out all the best quality links. So if you do that, it will leave you with 242 domains. And if you do that here, it will leave you with about 131 links. Well, you can basically do this in two ways. Either you will export this whole file and you will export all the German links, which, to be honest, is interesting and easy, because if you export the whole sheet, you can literally copy paste everything into our sheet. And what we basically can do in the sheet is, it's today. So, well, let's take this date, and I can say this is, for example, a USA link in the German market. And I can say this is westwing.de, and I can see a referring link from shopify.com, right? Interesting. I want to have that as well. So I'll put Shopify in here. So this is how I'm doing Shopify, because obviously Shopify is a good link. And if we look a little bit further, you can see that it has actual German content on the website of shopify.com. So it is important to look at the domain URL, because this is Germany, for example, and they have their own specific case study page. It's kind of hard to be replicated, but just for an example, we're going to refer the domain URL. So we have that, and then we're going to also note down, is it being sent to the homepage? And you can classify here. I want this link would be good to mysite.com/mysite.com/de, because I want it to my homepage as well. Then I'm going to explain it. Well, you can basically choose what type of article it is. So this is pretty much case study or review for Shopify. You can note down, yes, this is a follow link or a sponsored link. Basically choose what you want, but it's a sponsored link. Then look at, well, it's not a sponsored link, but you can classify it as sponsored because it's basically a review. So the DR is 96. And if we look at the page traffic, it's pretty much 0. And what I also always like to do is, okay, if you look at the total domain traffic, well, it's obviously Shopify, so it's 14.2 million. Then you can give a score here. So let's say we have topical relevance. Well, it is an e-commerce store. It is discussing the brand, so it's a 4. Is it in German? Yes. Then we're going to look at the editorial standards. So let's take this one. So here you can judge, okay, how good is this actual content? So how good is it written? Yeah, I would say it's okay, but not really great for a case study, to be honest. It's pretty unstructured. It's like a video. It has some structure to it, but it's not really highly optimized or fantastic. So I would say medium. Why interesting? High authority, relevance to niche. Many other stores in niche that have case studies we might apply as well. I'm just naming something, but it's good to note down why it's interesting. Then we're going to look at the priority. We're going to say maybe. And then the status is going to be outreach queued. And then obviously, if you know how to reach out, is John Doe at shopify.com. We're going to target him with cold mail or with a contact form or LinkedIn or Twitter. So let's say email. The next action would be to find email address, add to cold mail campaign, and then this comes from Ahrefs. The follow-up date will be, I want to have this done before, well, 21/1/2026. In this way, what you basically do is you make a good combination of all the links that you find valuable. And you can do that by exporting the whole Excel sheet and then picking the ones out that are interesting and then adding all the data in the sheet. At the end, you can pretty much see the list that you have found across the whole niche itself. So you're going to do this for Home24. You're going to do this for westwing.de, but you can also do it for a lot of other competitors that you can actually find within this specific niche. I wouldn't necessarily do IKEA, but there's many smaller home decor sites that might have interesting links and might also have links that are very common across all these websites. So it's good to have those as well if all your other competitors have them. Then I would like to say it is obviously also important to check what types of links it are. Because, for example, Zeitung, which is newspaper in Germany, you can, for example, make this even more interesting by just naming Zeitung. You can see it only has one link from a newspaper. And then you can see that, for example, West Wing has more links from specific newspapers. It is also knowing the country a bit and knowing what types of links are very common. Because in Germany, it's either going to be the big newspapers like Stern.de, RTL.de. Those are the big ones, and you have many of those. But then you have all these regions where there are local newspapers as well that are easier to acquire, are cheaper to acquire. Another thing to also look at is if we set best links on, and for example, you are on a budget, you go to, well, let's say all the websites starting from right now, page 3, and then you basically extract and only start looking at DR45 to DR30, and then you only right now have all the contextual links. So there's many interesting links that you can also reach out to. So for example, having a targeted list, if you are on a smaller budget, can immediately help, because you can look at all your high quality targets that are too expensive and you can target those later on, but you can really hone in on, let's say, all the links between DR30, DR45, and then you can directly also look at, okay, how much traffic are these types of links getting? How much links point to specific word? Maybe you could reach out and get a niche edit within existing articles. So there's many ways to utilize these types of reports. And a great way about this new function, which is only the best links combined with the language itself, is that you pretty much already have a very aggressive, good filter for the quality links. So you can sift through all the crap that is pointing to this domain, because I'm quite certain if I, for example, do language and then German and I go to page and I put this off, then immediately it's like a huge amount of pages you need to sift through, and this will take a lot of time. It will not be too valuable. As you can see, there's so much crap. I would only recommend to, for example, if you are really on a budget and you really don't have a lot of money to spend, then I would say you focus on search terms. So let's say this is a DR 2.1 site. It has 33 referring domains. It could be that you are interested in some kind of influencer page and you see that it has search volume. Yeah, then you need to manually check, okay, is this, for example, interesting for us? But I do not recommend this, because most of the times these are very small websites. They won't reply to your outreach. Quality isn't there. I would recommend to do it in the way I showed you, and to then also manually check all the options that are available in the market, and to also see the links that you see for every competitor. Because if you are in the home decor niche with 4 competitors, all have 10 links from the same source, and you are the one that doesn't have these links, yeah, you can imagine that it's going to be pretty competitive to win from these types of brands. So also an important note to see in one sheet, okay, West Wing has this link, Home24 has this link, IKEA has this link. Yeah, we need to have this link at a certain point as well. And what the sheet also does is it's showing you a dashboard where you can see the shortlisted options, the needs review, the approved ones, the rejected ones, the outreach queued, the contacted, the won links, the lost links, and it also shows by priority how much priority links you have. So it gives you a good feeling of where the outreach is going, what currently needs to be done, and what the priority links are. So it's really easy to use a spreadsheet, and you can easily build your links like this. All right, guys, let's talk about the second pillar, digital PR and outreach. And this is where most e-commerce brands have a massive opportunity, because only 17.7% of link builders use digital PR, but it's actually consistently being praised for delivering the highest quality backlinks. So that's a huge gap. Here is how we approach it. Instead of asking for links, we create reasons for people to link to us. So we might run a survey of online shoppers and publish this data, or we might create an industry report with original insights, or we might even tie a product launch to a trending topic or holiday that the media just loves to cover. After we've done this, we start doing targeted outreach to journalists, bloggers, and publishers in each market, because this is critical. Everything should be localized. So if you do these types of researches or creating these types of assets, obviously you need to find journalists in Germany or France, and the research should also be written accordingly. So we can do this, but generally we don't really send English pitches to German publishers. So we craft pitches in German, referencing their previous work, and what we then do is we're explaining why our story fits their audience. In some countries, email works great, but in others, we typically find that LinkedIn outreach works the best, and you even have countries in Asia where WeChat, for example, is the way to go. You really have to adapt to the local norms, and we also started using AI tools to speed up the research and drafting process. So, for example, we use AI to generate initial outreach templates, and we then heavily personalize them. We also utilize AI to identify journalists that can cover our topics. And what we have seen till now is that companies that utilize AI for digital PR and outreach have seen up to 50% faster backlink acquisition rates, which is obviously fantastic. But here is the key though. I mean, AI assists, but it doesn't replace. And every pitch that we do gets a human review and gets personalization attached to that. So every relationship that we build is built by real people. And the good result of digital PR is earned media, because when a reputable publication is writing about your brand or campaign, you first will get an authoritative backlink, you then will reach their audience, and you will also build brand credibility, which is amazing. And the great thing about digital PR is that it can yield 5, 10, 20, 30, sometimes even 50 or 60 links if the story resonates and perhaps goes viral. And the great thing is, these links compound over time because content stays live and continues to pass authority. So without further ado, we've now talked about step 2, digital PR, and we're now going to move on to step number 3. The third pillar is sustainable authority building, because everything we do is designed to be future-proof. We avoid any tactic that could blow up later, and we diversify our anchor text so it looks natural. We then prioritize links from sites that have real editorial standards, and we focus on building your brand's reputation, and we're not just only manipulating rankings. What we currently typically see is that Google's algorithm is increasingly rewarding sites that demonstrate expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. You've already heard about it. It's the EAT framework, because high-quality backlinks from respected sources are one of the strongest signals of authority. And when you scale internationally, you're essentially replicating your authority in each new market. So you want to start with a clean, strong foundation everywhere you operate. And that means earning links on merit, creating valuable content, and building genuine relationships with local publishers and influencers. Yes, it takes more time than buying a link package, but honestly, it's the only approach that won't keep you up at night worrying about the next Google update. Alright guys, so this is the action checklist that you should start following. Step number 1 is auditing your current backlink profile, and you can use a tool like Ahrefs or SEMrush to identify any toxic or low quality links. Once you found those, you can disavow them through Google Search Console. Step number 2 is researching your competitors in each target market. See which local sites are linking to them and build a target list of high quality prospects. The third step is set quality criteria. So decide what domain rating, traffic level, and relevance you require. And think about this, don't chase every link, chase the right links. The fourth step is creating one piece of linkable content this month. And it could be a data study, a comprehensive guide, an infographic, or basically anything that provides real value and gives you a reason to reach out. The fifth step that you need to take is start localized outreach. So reach out to publishers in your target markets with personalized pitches. An important thing to realize then is offer value and don't just do a link request where you're asking for a backlink in their article. The sixth step that you should do is consider if you can start a digital PR campaign. So think of a newsworthy angle that is directly tied to your brand and pitch it to media and watch the backlinks roll in. Step number 7 is measuring and iterating. So track which tactics are working and double down on those, because that makes it easy to cut out what's not moving the needle. If you follow these steps, you will be miles ahead of competitors that are still stuck in 2018 tactics with PBNs, mass guest posting, and other stuff that doesn't move the needle anymore. Here is the bottom line, guys. Most e-commerce stores play the volume game instead of focusing on strategic authority building that actually moves international rankings. While your competitors are chasing low-quality links that could hurt their authority across markets, you could be building a selective, high-quality international backlink profile that Google rewards. If you want our team to show you exactly how to implement these strategic backlink approaches for your e-commerce store, check the first link in the description below. If you found value in this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more no bullshit SEO strategies. And drop a comment. Let me know what are your biggest backlink challenges right now. I would love to hear that. I'll see you guys in the next video.